that you have loved me, and they'll worship at my feet. Thanks to you, I can endure to the end. I want to see my life. I know. Thanks to you, now everything's different. I can't even explain it. It's like he opened my brain. I've waited all my life. I never thought to think things twice about everything I knew about Christ. No, when I heard about the reviews, I knew that it was all true. And clearly in black and white, I knew what I had to do. They had plans to take our lands, 'cause we broke all of your commands. And I know, thanks to you, I can endure to the end. I want to leave my land. I know, thanks to you, I want to leave my land. Some people take a lifetime just to open their eyes to the fact that they've been fed our lives, all their lives. But now I know who I am. Thanks to you, thanks to you, I can most high. I wanna see my land, If I ever choose you, if I ever choose you, let my tongue continue my life,
Shalom, 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 shalom. Happy Sabbath. All right, coming at y'all live today with one of these very, very controversial topics in Israel. And I ain't going to be cocky with it. I'm going to put it out there like this. Shalom, shalom. So yeah, I want to touch this topic because it's a teaching that's been going around for a long time, and it's become heavier spent now, which is that the so-called Hispanics and Indians of Indian descent are the Israelites. And people have definitively made this a doctrine. So now I want to touch a couple scriptures on this topic, right? And I'll say, if y'all want to go with that notion, we can. But if that's the case, I need y'all to answer these couple of questions. So as we go through the scriptures and we're gonna navigate, we're gonna see. I want to see, and I need y'all to come back and explain this to me. If we don't go with that notion, because the ground that I stand on, that the Israelites are all of Negroid descent. All right, they're all Negroes because they come from a Negro descent. And the doctrine that we've been taught is what? That you are the seed of. So when people say certain things, just the first thing that you see that eliminates certain things, because we all like to run to Romans 8 and 16. Let's go there. Let's go to Romans 8 and 16. Because we love to run to Romans chapter 8 and verse 16, all right? Let's say, I want to read this because this is one of the first eliminators that I've seen with most of these so-called Hispanics.
8 and 16.
And Indians, yeah, go ahead.
Romans chapter 8 and verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
Right. Now, the reason why I say that's one of the main eliminators first off the dribble, because their spirit got to bear witness. If their spirits truly bear witness that they were the Israelites, they would not get mad when you say that the Israelites are black.
Right.
Why are they upset? Why, if you say the Israelites are Negroes, right, they are Negro, why do you get upset? And when we read the history, we know that the Israelites came from a what kind of man?
A black man.
A Negroid man. So if that's the case, and you bear witness, what you upset for?
Right.
You be like, come, you're right, because I'm an Israelite and I come from a black man. Right. But the reason you get upset about it because you don't bear witness to that.
Right.
So, like I was saying, if we don't go with the notion that the Hispanics and Indians are Israelites, I need y'all to answer these questions for me. So let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and get it from the top. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. Now, once again, my stance is that Israelites are black, of Negroid descent. In other words, Negroid descent. All right. This notion that you can be an Israelite and you just full-blooded Indian and Puerto Rican and stuff, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And I'm going to take you through the scriptures and I'm going to show you why. And if that's the case, I need you to answer these questions for me.
You said Genesis 14.
So let's go to Genesis chapter 14, verse 13.
Genesis chapter 14 and verse 13. And there came one that had escaped and told Abraham the Hebrew.
Abraham who?
Abraham the Hebrew.
They said Abraham the Hebrew. So let you know Abraham was a Hebrew which spun forth the Israelites, right?
Right.
Okay, so what color was Abraham?
He was black. He's
black. Everybody in here, we agree that Abraham was a Negro, right?
Right.
All right. So now, from there, I'm going to ask you something now. What color was Sarah?
She was black.
Sarah was a Negro?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, Abraham and Sarah. Let's jump to Genesis 21 and 3. Genesis chapter 21, verse 3. Let's go.
Genesis chapter 21 and verse 3. Genesis chapter 21 and verse 3. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac.
Abraham and Sarah had a son and named that son Isaac. I'm saying, now we know they had another son, not them two particularly had another son, but he had another son, and the son of that one name was Ishmael. But we want to deal with the chosen lineage, okay? So Abraham, a Negro, and Sarah, another Negro, had a son and named that son Isaac, right? Is that in the 3?
That was in the 3.
Read.
And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him.
All right, so now, Abraham and Sarah, both Negroid descent, black people, had a son named Isaac. Now let's jump on to Isaac. Go to Genesis chapter 24. And let's get verse 1 through 3.
Genesis chapter 24 and verse 1. Genesis chapter 24 and verse 1. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, that ruled over all that he had.
Right. Go ahead. Watch this.
Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites.
Right. Now, here's a thing. Because Abraham wanted to make sure that his seed wasn't tainted. He said, take a wife, not of the people that's around me. So this right here lets you know that he was so serious back at this time that he didn't want his seed damn sure couldn't mix with any other nation. But it's certain he even wanted to mix with the black nations that was around him. That's how particular he was.
Right.
Watch this. Read verse 4.
Verse 4. But thou shalt go unto my country.
He said to go where?
To my country.
Go ahead.
And to my kindred.
To who?
And to my kindred.
He said go to his kindred. Why? Because they all marry what?
Their own people.
That's it. Give me Tobit 4 and 12. This is how particular it was. He said, go to my country, to my kindred, meaning my family. Let's see how close in family he wanted them to go. Tobit chapter 4, verse 12.
Tobit chapter 4 and verse 12. Tobit chapter 4 and verse 12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy father.
Take us what?
And take a wife of the seed of thy father.
We don't.
And take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe.
So it was so particular. He said marry a woman. He didn't say marry another. He said marry. Now we can tie this and say they married in the nation, but that scripture we ain't gonna change those words. That scripture was so particular. He said make sure you marry someone that's of your father's tribe.
Right.
Finish it up.
For we are the children of the prophets Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
So all of them that you heard followed that order.
Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred.
They married wives of their own kindred, meaning their own family. How close? The same tribe as their fathers. Okay, so now let's go back to Genesis. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 24 and read verse 4 again. So now, it's okay. We'll explain in a second. I'm going to explain in a second. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 24 and verse 4. But thou shalt go unto my country, unto my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said unto him, peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land.
All right, where we at?
That was verse 4, and I just read a little bit into 5.
Okay, so basically, he said this Negro man had a child with this Negro woman, and when it was time for his son to find a wife, he said, don't let my son marry anything outside of my kindred.
Right.
And then we seen how close the kindred was. He said, make sure she's of the tribe of your father.
Right.
So now the servant said, look, I can go do this. And he swore by this. Now they couldn't break that.
Right.
You couldn't break that. So he says, okay, but if I go find her, she ain't gonna come way back here. So now let's jump. Genesis chapter 24. And it said, just remember, Tobit 4:12 said, take a wife of their father's tribe. That would be your cousin.
Right.
So you would be the same nationality.
Right.
Okay, so now jump to Genesis chapter 24 and start at verse 5. Well, go ahead, read 5 and 6.
Genesis chapter 24 and verse 5. And the servant said unto him, peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I need bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou camest?
That's it?
No. That was it in verse 5.
Go ahead.
And Abraham said unto him, beware thou that thou bring not my son thither again.
Right. So now, this is what I realized. Everybody that wants to make the Hispanic of Indian descent, they all, when they try to use that claim, they always run straight to second Ezra's.
Right.
They never start with the lineage.
Right.
Because if you're going to start with the lineage, now you got to explain how you just throw something in there.
Right.
So now, when we read this, at any point in time, is anybody confused? Are we dealing with any other nations yet? Is this all Negroes of the same tribe?
Right.
Okay, so now watch this. We just read verse 5 and 6. Jump down to verse 9.
Verse 9. And the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning that matter.
So he made the promise.
Right.
That I will make sure your son marries a woman of his tribe.
Right.
Okay, so now read on.
And the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master, and departed, for all the good of his master were in his hand. In his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Nahor. And he made his camel to kneel down without the city by a well of water at the time of the evening, even the time that the woman go out to draw water. And he said, O Lord God of my master Abraham, I pray thee send me a good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down the pitcher, I pray thee that I may drink, and she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camel drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac.
So what did he just do? He just prayed to the Most High saying, look, send the woman that Isaac's supposed to marry here.
Right.
And she'll do these things for me to know that it's her.
Right.
So now, watch this. Read on.
And thereby shall I know that thou hast shown kindness unto my master. And it came to pass before he had done speaking, that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Michal, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother.
Abraham's who?
Abraham's brother.
Uh-oh. So Rebekah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So who's Rebekah?
His cousin.
All right. Read on.
With her pitcher upon her shoulder. And the damsel was very fair to look upon.
So she was beautiful. All right. That's the end of what? Verse 16?
No, it was in the beginning.
Okay, go ahead.
A virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up.
Right, meaning she was a young woman of marriageable age and no man had ever slept with her.
I was going to say, it broke down the difference between the word virgins.
Right.
I swear it broke it down.
Right. So now, this is Isaac's cousin. So they would be from what? The same tribe.
Right.
These are still what? Two Negroes.
Right.
Okay, so now, we just read verse 16. Let's jump to verse 23.
Verse 23. And said, whose daughter art thou?
So the servant says to Rebekah, whose daughter are you?
Tell me, I pray thee. Is there room in thy father's house for us to lodge in? And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Melchah, which she bare unto Nahor. She said, moreover unto him, we have both straw and provider enough, and room to lodge in. And the man bowed down his head and worshiped the Lord. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of my master Abraham, who have not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth. I being in the way, the Lord led me to the house of my master's brethren.
So this is his what?
That's your brother.
Ooh, this is Abraham's brother.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning that, guess what? Rebekah and Isaac are cousins. They are from the same tribe. So we still dealing with two Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody lost yet?
No.
All right. So now with that, jump to verse 61. Let's just get down to the point. This is what they need, pretty much.
Verse 61. And Rebekah arose and her damsel, and they rode upon the camels and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah and went his way. And Isaac came from the way of the well, Lehi, for he dwelt in the south country. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us?
Yeah, in other words, you're like, hey, who is that?
Who is that?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother's servant tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife.
So this tell me, when he met her, it went down.
Bang, bang, but
they went into the tent instantly and made this marriage. Watch this.
And he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death.
Right. So now, so Isaac and Rebekah are still cousins, same tribe, same exact people, right. Negroes. All right. So now, let's do this. Still Negroes here, no mix, just straight up Negroes. Go to Genesis chapter 25, and let's start at 19.
Genesis chapter 25 and verse 19.
Now, notice, I didn't run to anything yet. I'm just running down the lineage. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 25 and verse 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife. The daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian, of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian.
All right, watch this.
And Isaac.
Now, just so nobody's confused, they are not those nations. We just read the lineage. All of them were family. So that just means that's where they lived at. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated to him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and the 2 manner of people shall be separate from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
Go ahead.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
Go ahead.
And the first came out red all over like it had a garment.
Now, everybody in Israel break this thing down, but then they seem to forget it.
Right.
Why did they record what Esau looked like, but not Jacob?
Because everybody had the same skin color.
Because everybody was black. This was a catastrophic difference. Mm-hmm. This was different. Hold on, this baby red as heck, and they got hair all over.
Right.
So Esau is recorded. His birth is recorded simply because of how different he was from everybody else.
Right.
Read on. Now, with that being said, why don't we get that for anybody else if it came from 2 Negroes? All right. Read on.
And they came, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his head took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob.
Now, as y'all can see, they did not describe Jacob because Jacob continued to look like the mother and the father.
Right.
Right. What verse do we stop at?
26.
Is that
20? Yeah, 26.
All right. Finish it up.
And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she buried him.
All right, so we read Jacob's birth, Jacob and Esau's birth. This is the only time you read about a different color person coming to the earth. Everybody else was black. All right?
Right.
And now, let's jump. We're going to jump to Genesis chapter 27. We're going to start at verse 46. We're just messing with lineage here now. I want y'all to say something. Because this is what's going to, it's going to take a little turn. Watch this.
27 now.
Start at 46.
Genesis chapter 27 and verse 46.
Now, this is after Jacob stuff already got the birthrights and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Watch this.
Genesis chapter 27 and verse 46. And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am very...
Start at 45, because this is the thing. It's around the time Jacob needed to go ahead and look for a wife, and at the same time, Esau is seeking to kill him for the birthright. Right? So watch this.
45. Until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him, then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are of the daughters of the land,
right? So like, if you take a wife of these heathens,
what good shall my life do me?
What good shall my life do me? It was like cursing your parents to take a heathen as a wife. So she's like, if you marry one of these people of the land, what good is my life?
Our parents just say that when he's young.
So now, watch this though. We still dealing, everybody's still on the same accord right now, right? We still dealing with black people. The only person named black is Esau.
Right.
Watch this. So when you finish 46, go ahead and read 28, verse 1 and 2.
All right. Verse 28.
Chapter 28.
Forgive me. Verse 28. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him.
He said verse 28 again.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I said chapter.
Chapter 28, verse 1. Go ahead.
I said, forgive me, chapter 28. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan.
Right. Now, once again, this is so particular because he not only did he not want to mix seed, but he didn't even want to mix seed with another black woman. No, it was specific how he wanted their seed to be flourished. Watch it, read on.
Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, my mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother.
Thy mother's brother. Now, what is she to him?
Cousin.
Cousin. So you're telling him, go get you a wife of your cousin, right? So watch this. Watch this. Let's go. Let's make a jump now. Let's make a jump. Let's go down to verse 5 and 6. So once again, they told him to go get a wife, which is your cousin. Watch this. Jump on to verse 5 and 6.
Verse 5. And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Padan Aram unto Laban, son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother.
Watch this.
When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take him a wife from thence, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughter of Canaan.
So Esau knew that the order was given not to take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Watch this. And he also knew that Jacob was sent off to one of their cousins. Watch this. Read on.
And that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother, and was going to Padan Aram. And Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father.
So out of spite, he said, because this pleased not his father, what happened?
Then Esau went unto Ishmael and took unto the wives which he had Mahalathah, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife.
Read on.
And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went towards Haran, and he lighted upon a certain place.
All right. So here's the point. Jacob is sent off. He's going to go marry a black cousin of his family. He's going to go marry a cousin, two Negroes again. Esau, now Esau's the only one when we read the records that he's a white man.
Mhm.
You know what he does? He goes and starts mixing his seed, flourishing it with the Ishmael, right?
All right.
So now, with that being said, we're gonna leave Esau over there because at that point in time, we know everybody was black, right?
Right.
So where do you think the white skin starts to come in from? From Esau starting to flourish his seed. But he's doing on this side. Jacob is over at a cousin's now. Now Esau has your chosen seed. But I'm just think about that. Where's the white skin and stuff started coming into play? When Esau started spreading his seed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, now, what happens is a so-called white man lays with a black woman. The child typically turns to look like a Bob Marley, or you can see that it's melanated. So he says, man, we can't make more of them. We're trying to make less of them. So what does he have to do? He has to go to a more weaker, inferior nation such as Moab.
Right.
Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's how you get the white skin started first. But we'll leave that there. Let's focus on the chosen lineage. Now, the chosen lineage, is anybody confused? They all was black. The only person who was white at this time is Esau. They're so-called white. All right. So with that being said, let's jump to where we at? Where do we stop? Genesis 28 and what?
And 10. No, we start at 11.
Okay, so now let's jump to Genesis chapter 29. Genesis chapter 29, let's start at verse 1.
Genesis chapter 29 and verse 1.
No, start at 4.
Genesis chapter 29 and verse 4. And Jacob said unto them, my brethren, whence be ye? And they said, of Haran are we? And he said unto them, how ye Laban? And he said unto them, know ye Laban the son of Nahor? And they said, we know him. And he said unto them, is he well? And they said, he is well. And behold, Rachel, his daughter, cometh with the sheep.
And behold, his daughter cometh with the sheep. Rachel is his what? His cousin. Jump to verse 10.
Verse 10. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother,
which is his cousin,
and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother.
Now these are all Negroes, remember, from the same tribe. They're cousins. Go ahead.
That Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother.
Okay, where you at?
That was down to 10.
All right, we down to 14.
And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abide with him the space of a month.
Right, so he's letting him know, you're bone of my flesh, you're my cousin. You're very close. Basically saying you're my family, close family. All right, so now, when we read 14, watch this, read verse 15 real quick.
Verse 15. And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught?
So he's saying, look, you're an Israelite. Remember, you can't enslave an Israelite like that. You couldn't work an Israelite without pay. So he's like, man, look, you are my family. You know what I'm saying? You Israelite. You can't work for nothing. I can't work you for nothing. We don't.
Okay. Tell me, what shall my wages be?
So what should your wages be? I mean, what you want. Tell me what you want. All right. So read on.
And Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel, and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter.
All right. So now, we all know this history here, right? What happens? Jacob works 7 years. He gets tricked. He gives him what, Leah?
Yeah.
Instead of Rachel.
All right.
So he's like, man, why'd you trick me, man? So he said, look, it's against the custom to marry the younger daughter before the older daughter from where we from. So he said, well, okay. So basically, he tricked him. So Jacob said, you know what? I love Rachel.
Work another 7 years.
Right. I work another 7 years for her. So eventually he gets Rachel and Leah and the two handmaids. Now, what happens is he made his children with those four.
All right.
So what happens is some people say, well, they could have been anything outside of Israel because they were handmaids. But no, that would have broke the oath. He swore not to marry anybody outside of the tribes.
All right.
Right? And then also, let me watch this. When it comes to another reason why I do not believe that these women were not Israelites, because they performed the duties of midwives. Watch this. Give me Exodus 1:15. Exodus 1:15. We're going to come back.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 15.
To show you that the midwives were Hebrews.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 15. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives.
The who?
The Hebrew midwives.
So the midwives were Hebrews. All right, go back to Genesis. I just wanted to touch that real slick people. Get what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to flow real quick. I'm going to flow like a butterfly, seem like a bee. All right, so now let's go to So now, and Bilhah, or Bilhah, whatever how you pronounce it, she was recorded as a concubine as well. Now, you know what people like to say? That, oh, if she was a concubine, she couldn't have been an Israelite because
Israelite women couldn't have been concubines.
right, we'll prove that's a lie in a second. But let me show you that she was a concubine. Well, she was recorded as a concubine. Give me Genesis 35:22. Genesis 35:22. Now we're gonna see something real quick. That's gonna call her a concubine, and then I'm gonna prove to you that that's a lie. That a concubine can only be a woman outside of Israel.
35 and
22.
Genesis chapter 35 and verse 22. And it came to pass when Israel dwelt in that land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine.
All right, that's all I needed. So now, as it says, so I don't believe that these two handmaids were outside nations, because that would have clearly broke the oath that they made to never marry outside of the tribe, to take a wife outside the tribe. So now let's deal with the I already proved that midwives were Hebrew women. Now let's deal with the thing where they say that concubines are only outside nation women. We're gonna prove that to be a lie. Get the Bible dictionary. Let's get the Bible dictionary real quick. Get the word concubine in there. Let's see what a concubine is. Now we do know that concubines could be a nation that we destroyed, and we took one of the women there. You know what I'm saying? You have certain things you have to do before you could mess with her. But let's see what a concubine is. We're gonna read the whole thing.
In the Bible, not a paramour, but a woman lawful, united in marriage to a man, and
so she's lawfully. Go ahead. Read it again.
Not a paramour, but a woman lawfully united in marriage to a man in a relation inferior to that of the regular wife.
So she was inferior to that of a regular wife, meaning she wasn't exactly esteemed as, she wasn't, well, today they say she wasn't wife number one.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Just sound like she is another wife.
Yeah, she's dealing with it, but she's not
the man wife.
Right, she's not to be, meaning she's not on the same level as the first wife. Go ahead.
No more stigma was attached to being a concubine.
Hold on, read it again.
No more stigma.
No moral. Because you don't, that peppermint's learning to talk. I need them to hear it clearly.
No moral stigma was attached to being a concubine.
So there's no exact stipulation of what a concubine is. In other words, read on.
It was a natural part of polygamous social system.
So that was a natural thing in polygamous situations or relationships for a woman to be considered a concubine. Okay, this is my wife. This is my first wife. I took her. You are the concubine. You the second wife. You're not to the same stature as the first wife.
See, we would have never read what this definition meant.
Watch this. Read on.
Concubinage is assumed and provided for in the law of Moses.
Right. So the concubine, you get taken care of as well. They can't just treat you anyway and neglect you, but you're not the first wife. Go ahead.
Which tried to prevent it excessive and abusive. Abuse.
So you can abuse them. You can treat them like crap. Was that it?
Well, that was it of that first top part.
Go ahead.
Concubines were commonly taken from among taken in war.
Right. So that's the definition that everybody tries to lock the concubines in. It's for, you beat this nation, you take her, and now she's a concubine. That's what they try to lock it is. But the very first breakdown of it was just what? A second wife that was not to the stature of the first wife.
Well, wait to the next part.
Watch this. Read on.
Although free Hebrew women might also become concubines.
Bingo. Even though free Hebrew women could become concubines. Bam. Right. Bam. Read on.
There's some stuff coming out here. Stuff. They enjoyed no other right but lawful cohabitation.
Mm-hmm.
They had no authority in the family or in household affairs.
That's so basically what is it telling you? She was almost like a house guest.
Right.
But she was the second wife. She had to be taken care of, but she didn't run nothing in the house.
That's tough. Their husbands could send them away with a small present.
Right. So if the husband actually got tired of you, he could give you a small tidings and send you on your way. Same thing Abraham did to Sarah's handmaid.
Right.
And when he created a child with her and she got beside herself and Sarah got jealous or whatever the case may be, yeah, he sent Hagar off with small tidings. Watch this. That's it. Finish it out. Finish it out.
It's deep, coach. Okay. And their children could, by means of small presents, be excluded.
And their children could be what?
Be excluded from the heritage.
Why? Because the heritage, the only law that was set on heritage is you cannot neglect the first child. The heritage got to go to the first child. You want to give something to the second, you can. But guess what? With that concubine child or that second wife, the midwife child, guess what you could do? You could send them off. Here go a little something going. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? If I don't want to, I don't have to leave an inheritance to the second child.
That's tough.
You said to the second child?
I mean to the child from the second wife or the so-called concubine.
Yeah.
Right? That's it?
No. This is tough. Ooh. The children were regarded as legitimate, although the children of the first wife were preferred in the distribution of the inheritance.
All right. So that's it. That's all we need. All the children from the first wife were predominant of the inheritance. So what we just read here proves what? That a concubine is not just a woman taken in war, but what else?
A free Hebrew woman.
Or a second wife, or you get what I'm saying? So that kills that notion.
That was all.
All right. So now, just if that wasn't enough, let me get a second definition of it. Let's go to Google. let's see what Google says.
That's too much, though.
Now we read out the Bible dictionary, so you can save the etymology and all that. You can save that. We can save that. Let's go to this right here. Let's Google something real quick. Let's see what a concubine is according to Google. Understanding. So let's see what it is according to Google's understanding. All right. The concubine, according to Google, in polygamous societies, a woman who lives with a man but has a lower status than his wife or wives. Same thing that was saying, right? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. So now, that's my stance. I don't believe that those handmaids were not Israelite women. I don't believe it.
So people just making up their own definition. Okay.
Right? No, they're just trying to lock it into one definition. You know what I'm saying? But now, like I said, we're going to leave you with no wiggle room. You have to answer these questions. All right. So now, let's go to let's explain something. So now, we don't ran down a whole lineage of things at this point, right? And at this point in time, at any point in time of what we ran through, was anybody of the chosen lineage not a Negro?
Nah.
Was any of them not black?
No.
Now, we left Esau over there when he was the portion of his seed. We left him. Because remember, everybody's dark skinned at this point.
Right.
That we dealing with.
Right.
So where's the white skin starting to come in at? Back where we left Esau at? Yeah. Okay, so now watch this. Now let's get to the point. Now I'm not going to get to the point. All right, what I need you to do is get email up and pump it on this. And meanwhile, let's take a look at this 12 tribe chart.
So you want to put your email.
Yeah, you might have to go right there. No, it's on the One Nation account. One Nation School@gmail.com.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in and I'm gonna let you take care of it.
All right. Because I don't want to say it out loud and then give it away. Somebody get the email.
And, oh my God.
Well, they can't see you logging it in on here.
I can probably see on the Periscope.
No, we ain't on Periscope.
Oh, this Facebook?
Yeah, I'm looking at the like you can't see the TV getting what's been put in on TV yet. We got to turn the camera for that.
Oh,
so just go ahead and get it set up for me. All right, so now, like I said, we're gonna take a look at this 12 tribe chart, right? Because so far, right, out of everything, all the lineage we done ran down to Jacob, anybody disagree with what I'm saying? Everybody was Negroes and dark skin at this point, right?
Yeah, that's
okay. So now here's the problem that I have with this. I have a problem with this chart. I don't have a problem with it, but I have a problem with it, if you get what I'm saying. When I say I don't have a problem with it, I'm saying if you want to say the people are in Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican, and all that stuff, you want to say they there, I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
For real, yeah. But videos of them.
Right, but what I don't agree with is when you say, now we just read everybody was Negroes up to this point. All of a sudden, we got 12 tribes, and only 3 of them look like the people who generated them. Only 3 of them look like Negroes.
That's crazy.
You got 12 tribes that came from nothing but Negroid men and women, and all of them, only 3 of them look like the Negroes, and the rest of them look like Caucasians and stuff.
That's crazy.
That don't make sense to me. You got to answer that question for me. We just ran through the lineage. So answer this question to me. If you got 12, let's say if you got 120%, that means 84% of them look like Caucasians. Now you got to explain that to me. I'm sorry. You got to explain that to me. How? Here's another thing. If they all came from Negroes, right? Mm-hmm. How are you going to tell me that all of a sudden you can come from Indian descent too? Well, what the hell is that in the damn breakdown of the lineages? You just gonna throw them in there? You gonna tell me they come? No, if you come from a straight up Spanish background, you are a Spaniard. Whether you like it or not, you are a Spaniard. You are not an Israelite, because the Israelites come from Negroes. And you tell me yourself, you are the seed of
your father.
Can I get a witness? No. All right. So now, with that being said, what we're going to do is we're gonna go to the TV, and I'm gonna show you what the 12 tribe chart should look like. All right, so give me a second as we get this internet set up, so y'all, you know what I'm saying, we about to put the password in. Can't have y'all, you know what I'm saying, in our password. Give us a second. Give us a second.
Nice score, right?
Yeah, I'm just moving slow.
I gotta use this. I can't use my thumb how I want to. You see me over there doing this right?
Where's the ad sign?
You ain't gotta put all that.
You don't?
You could just put what they should Israelites score. And then it'll go to ask for the password.
Why is it doing that? You gotta put it back in.
All right. Well, talk to the people while I do this.
Shoot. Oh, my legs, my knee. I mean, if y'all do get a chance out there watching, all you gotta do is go look at the videos of the people in Puerto Rico. There's certain people over there who's speaking. I forgot the rapper name, but he got an afro. He look of Negro descent. Negro descent. He's going off saying those people who look like they're white are not our people. And he constantly say it. Why? He letting you know. Look, he even said in the video, he's like, listen, man, the real that's how he said it. Man. You know he lost. But he said the real Puerto Ricans is us over here with this skin and we over here in the port. Why are they saying stuff like that? This has been an argument among Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and all those people in those islands for a long time. Even if you watch stuff like Telemundo, they're not broadcasting no dark-skinned Puerto Ricans. They got all these light-skinned, stringy dog hat people up there saying they the Puerto Rican.
Really? Too harsh on them now. You know, don't be shooting shots at us lately.
I don't want you to be sensitive. Yeah. I got a shoulder you can lean on.
All right.
Harobians. Rapobians.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take y'all to how the 12 tribes chart should look now. Yeah, come on around to the front. Come on around to the front. Now I'm gonna try to turn the camera. I don't know how good of a visual it's gonna give y'all, but we're gonna do our best to work with you. Got you. Okay. Y'all forgive me. I gotta make this. I'm trying to give y'all a good little visual.
We got more control over.
Hold on. I just want to see how good a visual I can give them. All right. Okay. Let me move this closer. Let's see something. Okay, that's a little better. I know y'all forgive us. We ain't got the 100% good setup yet, but we getting there. We working on it. Okay, let me put you in front. You see? Okay, that's a good visual here. Woo! That was almost ugly. Okay. Okay, now let me. Let's see if I turn this. Anybody on Facebook looking? Let me see. Is it clear for you to see? Now give us a second. We trying to make sure everybody can see what I'm trying to bring forth here. You want some? All right. Just put it all the way on up. All right. So that's good.
It's late. I'm waiting on
Yeah, okay. That's the lag time.
All right. It's good on yours, right?
Just that way because
It's
it's
moving
got
up right
like
now.
lag time.
Oh yeah.
All right. So now. All right. So when you go through the lineage, right? As you go through the lineage, Abraham and Sarah, who were both what? Cousins.
Negroes.
And Negroes, same tribe. Isaac and Rebekah, who were cousins, Negroes, same tribe.
Right.
Okay. So now, Jacob. Here's what I want y'all to see. So Jacob and Leah, they're from the same tribe, right? They're cousins. Now look at her children. Can somebody tell me who her children are?
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun.
No. These top four.
Oh, that's it? All right.
Yeah. Tell me the top four again.
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah.
Now, here's the problem I have. Here's the problem I have. What tribe who do they say Judah is?
Negroes.
Okay. But who do they say Simeon is?
They say the Dominicans.
Hold on. Now, if the mother and the father are from the same tribe and they both Negroes, black as hell, then how do them two make two Negro descendant children and then two so-called Indian or Spaniard children? How does that make sense?
I don't know. That's amazing.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
That's amazing.
So you got Reuben and Simeon. Reuben and Simeon, they both supposed to be Indian descendant people, but Levi and Judah are Negro descendant, but they all come from the same mother and father. That don't make sense. Like I said, if you're gonna say that the Dominicans and you're gonna say that they are our people, they gotta be Negroid descendant.
Those didn't come from the same folklore.
Right. So now watch this. Now jump to let's go to Rachel.
Look, that's over, coach.
Now Rachel and Benjamin. Salakia. Rachel and Jacob are cousins.
Right.
Both Negroes.
Right.
Black as hell. They had Joseph and Benjamin. Now Joseph is supposed to be Ephraim and Manasseh.
Right.
Which they say is supposed to be Puerto Ricans.
Right. And Cubans from that.
Right. Now Benjamin is supposed to be black as hell, a Jamaican.
Yeah, you see us.
So once again, now they cousins and they're from the same tribe. How the hell did the two make some Indian or Spaniard children?
Somebody got some explaining to
That
coach.
am I exaggerating or do y'all see it?
No, I see it.
Now they come from Negroes. All them children should be what?
What?
They should be Negroes. Okay, so watch this. Now let's go to the other tribe chart. This is how the chart should look then. If you're gonna make the accurate 12 tribe chart, it has to start with the lineages.
Right.
And then you bring out this one.
You can zoom into it, yeah, with the plus.
Please zoom.
Not even look. All right.
All right. So now, what does it do?
Hey, this chart went off.
Does it make sense though?
Yeah, it do. That's chart saying, man, look, check this out. This is how it's supposed to look.
Okay. So now, Salakia. Let me bring it back on up. Let me bring it back on up.
Big zone.
All right. Now it says Genesis 15:13 and Deuteronomy 28:68. But when you look at it, look how it's breaking down.
Yeah.
Reuben, Leah, Negro, meaning his mother's Negro, and we all know that the father was a Negro.
Yeah.
And they was from the same tribe.
Yeah.
So that would be an accurate 12 tribe chart.
Mm-hmm.
If we going off the lineage. So once again, if they were black as hell, they cousins, and all of them made their kids together, where do you get these rice-skinned kids from? Where do you get these stringy hair people from? Where do you get this so-called you could be Indian descent and be an Israelite? That's That's not true. That's not true. I'm not saying that it ain't some very, very, very light-skinned Israelites. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is don't tell the lie that if you Indian descent. No, you got to be Negro descent. Because that's who they came from.
The heat is on in the kitchen, coach.
All right? And they all were cousins. So guess what that means? Let's put it like this. Do you look like your cousin?
Yeah, of course I do.
Because I hear people used to mistake y'all two for father and son.
Yeah, all the time.
So y'all look alike, but all of a sudden these cousins, they made kids and the kids look nothing alike.
That wouldn't make sense.
That don't make sense. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to teaching. I just want to pull that up.
Man, coach.
Now, if your spirit bear witness, it bear witness. Let the work be done.
Right.
But if it don't,
No, it's not,
you can't just tie yourself into it. All right, that's it. We'll go back to teaching from here. All right. All righty then.
It's hot, man. Somebody trying to heat on in the kitchen.
There's gonna be some people mad at me, but I don't care.
Man, the proof's in the pudding. And it tastes like some chocolate pudding.
All righty then. All righty then. So anybody in here so far disagree with anything that's just been brought up? Okay. So now, like I said, you got a 12-tribe chart. Leah created Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah with Jacob, who is their cousin from the same tribe. And all of a sudden, 2 of the kids come out Indian descendant and looking like Caucasians. And 2 of the sons come out black looking like people who created them. Once again, you got this 12-tribe chart that they pushing all through the nation. And 84% of the people look like everybody else except for who created them.
Right.
Don't make sense. Okay, so now let's do this. So I forgot, how the hell does this Negro man and this Negro woman, who are cousins, make 2 Indian descendant children and 2 Negro children, and it not be recorded? Did it record Esau's birth?
Yeah.
Because Esau was drastically different. Don't you think if these 2 cousins came together and had 2 children that was completely different looking, it would have been recorded?
Right.
Okay, I'm just saying, if you're gonna go with that notion, I need you to explain this to me. Okay. Now, like I said, it don't make sense. So if you can receive that, if you can receive everything we laid out so far now, if you can receive it, because everybody ain't gonna want to accept it, but if you can receive that, then you can honestly say that's what the real 12-tribe chart is supposed to look like.
Right.
And then not only that, let's deal with the infamous lies now. Let's deal with the infamous lies. Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
God.
Let's go to 2nd Esdras. That was like a con. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. Let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 13. The infamous lie. 2nd Esdras 13 and verse 40. Y'all gonna get enough of just throwing stuff out there and, you know what I'm saying, not being able to substantiate it. 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 40.
2nd Esdras chapter 13 and verse 40. 2nd Esdras chapter 13 and verse 40. Excuse me. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the times of Osee the king, whose Salamansar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the water. And so came they into another land. And they took his counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Okay, hold on, because I need you to read it over for me. I had some issues with this camera.
Second Esdras chapter 13 and verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
Come on.
In the time of Osee the king, who's captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Right. So he said he carried them over the waters, right?
Right.
And so came them into the land.
Right.
Now watch this. Now somebody said that means they took it on ships. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna argue with you on that. If that's what you want to go, I ain't gonna argue with you on that. Because how do you carry people over water? You can see that. That's logical. They use ships. Okay, but watch this.
But they took this counsel among themselves.
Now, this is what you understand. They were set free. Now, we were taken on ships. The Israelites took it on ships. What do you read? They was going to be set free. You don't read that. Because the scripture said, no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall save you or redeem you except Christ.
Right.
So why we fail to mention that these people were let free and they traveled somewhere on their own? Watch this. Read on.
All right. That they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Right. So what we at?
That was 41.
Read on.
That they might keep.
Oh, hold on. It said that they would go somewhere where mankind never dwelt, right?
Yeah.
Now, I want y'all to understand something when you say that. If you rewind the tape, now, because people use this and say, oh, see, they went way to America because no man ever dwelt there. I'm going to show you just how you could just throw stuff and interject stuff into the scriptures without really thinking. What's the name of the place you live at?
The Orange City.
Right. Ain't they building that up?
Yeah.
If you rewind the tape about 20, 30 years ago, was people really living there? Mm-hmm. So just like in Florida, ain't there wooded areas where people rarely go? They don't even live there.
Yeah.
So when it says that they went to a place where never mankind dwelt, can you just tie that and make it America?
No.
Because they could have went somewhere that was still amongst people, but nobody dwelt there. Mm-hmm. We got places like that now. We call it the boondocks.
Right.
Oh, they stay in the sticks, real country area, wooded areas where rarely anybody dwells.
Right.
And it says, well, never mankind dwelt. Well, guess what? That ain't hard to find. They tear down woods everywhere and make it a place for people to stay.
Right.
But before they tear down, nobody lives there.
Right.
All right. Watch this. So, and then it said, that, like, when it says they carried them over the water, it didn't say they went all down through the water to the Indian and to the Tigris and all that other stuff.
Right.
Carried them over the water. You know what that could also be? Heading, that could be headed towards Asia Minor.
Right.
We never think about that. Okay, but let's read on.
Right. That they may keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land.
Now, they said that they would keep statutes that they never kept in their own land. Okay. I mean, that they didn't keep in their own land. Mm-hmm. Now, when you go historically, what the hell customs was the so-called Indians keeping over here that was our statutes? They was worshiping other gods. They were doing rain dances, praising wicked, crazy spirit gods and all this other stuff. What are you talking about? What they came? If this is where they traveled to keep the damn statues, they did a terrible job at it.
Yeah, it's historical facts. They was doing stuff like that.
But wait till part 2 comes out.
Spirits and everything.
Well, wait till part 2 comes out. I'm gonna tell you what they did do. Wait till part 2 comes. I can't wait. All right, so watch this. Read on.
That they might keep their statues, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over.
Now, y'all do know it's historically recorded that when they came over here to conquer the people that was here, they said those people were so dark they thought they were Africans.
Right. Yeah.
That's just a nugget out there. Go ahead, read on.
For through the country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, And the same region is called Azareth.
Okay, namely a year and a half. So it took some time to do that. But if you do anything by a boat, it takes longer to set in time to get it done. You know what I'm saying? If you forge it by foot, it takes a long time to get it done.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? I can drive to Tampa in about 45 minutes to an hour. But if I walk, how long is it gonna take?
Forever.
Okay. All right, I'm just saying. All right, so now it says in the same region. Now, I don't know, maybe people don't know what the hell region means.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you what region means. A region just means is nothing more than a small body of land connected to a large continent. Continent.
Right.
A region is a small body of land connected to connected to a large continent. All right. So look, now here's the deal. Now let's deal with the lies. Here's the point that I was talking about the lies. When it says in the same region, it's called Arswin. Okay. A small body of land connected to a large region. A small body of land connected to a large continent. So that could be westward of Asia Minor.
Right.
That could be any. Basically, that's like remote places.
Right.
Remote places that's connected. Like in the city, St. Cloud is a remote place. They don't built it up now, but before it was a remote place. Remember when we was there, it was nothing but woods, really. It was barely, the neighborhood didn't even really have houses in it. They were still cutting down houses to make, like cutting down trees to make houses in the neighborhood. Nobody dwelt there before, but it was still connected to a place. So now, here's the point that I want to touch, the Arsareth part. Now, everybody just says Arsareth is America. It was America that they came to, with no actual proof to substantiate that claim.
Yeah, never thought about it.
If you can't just throw that and say that's America because you can't prove that. If you can show me, and I'm like, okay, all right, so you're right about that.
Right.
I will humble myself and say you're right about that. But you cannot just throw that in there and just interject it. That's called adding.
Right.
You're adding to the word now. You're making this place America with no way to prove that.
All right.
You don't know if Arsareth is America. You can't just throw that and make it America.
Right.
Give me Revelations real quick, 22 and 18. Y'all gonna get enough of adding to these words, man.
Revelation chapter 22 and verse 18. Revelation chapter 22 and verse 18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book.
Right, God shall add to him the plagues that are written in this book. So that's why I say, man, you're gonna get enough of just adding to this word. You're gonna make this America, and you have no way to clearly substantiate that. You can't do that. You can't do that. All right. So now, watch this. Another point. So what I would say is, if this is America, you might have to prove it. But while you're proving it, I'm gonna need you to answer this for me. Give me Acts. Give me the book of Acts. And get chapter 9, verse 15.
Acts chapter 9 and verse 15. Acts chapter 9 and verse 15. But the Lord said unto him, Go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings.
Right. So Paul's job was to bear the gospel to the Israelites and to the kings and who else?
The children of Israel.
And to the children of Israel.
For I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake.
Right, that's it.
Yeah.
So now, Paul was sent to minister to the Gentiles. Now, here's the point. If the northern kingdom was in America, then how the heck did Paul gospel to them? Because we don't read about him going to America. We don't read about him going to Austria. So how did he get the ministry in? Okay.
Oh man, coach.
Okay. So now let's go ahead and hit the finishing touches for part 1. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68.
Oh man, coach.
Deuteronomy 28, 68.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Right, so the Lord will bring them into Egypt again with ships, meaning he was going to bring us into slavery again with ships.
Right. By the way whereof I spec unto thee.
The same way he said it was going to happen, it happened. You don't read about him saying one people was going to travel to America and then the other people was going to be bought on ships. He said we were all going to be, when he said we were going to be oppressed together, we were all going to be brought into America together on ships.
Right.
We were all going to be brought into America. He didn't say nothing about somebody was going to get free from one captivity and freely and comfortably travel to America by themselves, and then we'll meet them on slave ships here.
Right. Nobody ain't ever get the records of the color that Chris Columbus was loading the people off the boat was.
But watch this. Read 68 from the top.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
Thou shalt see it no more again, which is heavy. What wasn't we going to see no more again?
Our motherland.
Our homeland, right? Our motherland. So now, proof in point of that, what land can we go to that's named after us? Where's the land called Black?
Neverland.
Okay.
It don't exist.
I'm going to tell you like this. We cannot go back to a land and live comfortably amongst our people. But you know who can? There's a land called Mexico. Yeah. The Mexicans can go there and be amongst their own people. And as a fact, just to show you that they don't fit them curses, what do a lot of them do? They come over here, make money, send it back to their country, and then do what? Leave when they send enough money that they leave and go back and live comfortably amongst their own people. Can you do that? Where can you go? Where can you do that? You stuck in America. As a fact, the scripture says that no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall redeem you or save you. Them people are sending them back to where they come from. America ain't send us nowhere. We stuck here.
Yeah, that's true.
But they fit Deuteronomy 28:6-8. Read it again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
You shall not see your motherland or your homeland again.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bond men and bond women, and no man shall buy you.
And no man shall redeem you. What land do we have where we control currency? Oh, okay. But they got their own currency, but you know they do, they'll come here and they'll take the jobs, which is the next one I'm going to bring out. All right, so that's one cut. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And let's go to 43.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 43.
Now watch this.
The stranger that is the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
He said there's going to be a stranger among you, and they're going to get above you very high. Okay.
And thou shalt come down very low.
And you will come down very low. You know what came down very low since the Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and stuff started moving here?
What the high rate?
Our unemployment rate. Because you know construction used to be a black man's job. Yeah. Who get all them jobs now?
I know.
When you go to the labor pool and you want to get a job, who's standing behind the counter most of the time handing out tickets? And Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
We in our black community, right?
Yeah.
Well, who's running the mom and pop stores? Who owns the bodegas?
Oh yeah, that's Puerto Ricans all day.
And Dominicans.
Right.
So now, that sound like they're getting high above you?
Very.
Okay. They come here, get your jobs, work it, send the money back, and then when they get comfortable and fed and good enough, what do they do? Go back home and live comfortably amongst their own people.
Right.
Okay. So now, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64.
Uh-oh.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
He shall scatter us amongst all people.
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
Which is why I say I don't have a problem with the chart. I don't say we scattered in these lands. I agree with you.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
And there we should do what?
Serve other gods.
Read on.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Even wood and stone. Now, what's the wood represent?
The cross. Yeah,
which is Christianity. Now, we serve Christianity. Our people predominantly fled up into Christianity. Now, they'll say, well, in Catholic, that's Christianity too. But it also said in wood and what else?
Stone.
What does a stone represent?
Islam. Big stone.
Have you seen one of them say they Muslims? I've yet to see them say they Muslims.
Yeah.
The scripture said that we will be smothered in both of those religions.
Mm-hmm.
I've yet to see one of these so-called Puerto Ricans be a Muslim. Okay. Deuteronomy 28, verse 37.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee.
So you will become an astonishment, proverb, and a byword. Now, for years we've been taught, oh, they call them sticks. But you know what? It said amongst, and wetbacks, but that's amongst, this said amongst all nations. Everybody don't call them sticks. Everybody don't call them wetbacks. But you know one name that goes around the world, no matter where you at? Nigger.
Yeah.
Nigger.
They said over there with it.
Exactly. I got a couple dark-skinned brothers that stuck in Puerto Rico, and he say over there they call all us dark-skinned brothers niggers.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna show you just how far that byword goes back. Give me Acts 13 and 1. This is how you know that every nation would call us this, because it's recorded in the Bible. Acts 13 and 1.
Acts chapter 13 and verse 1. Acts chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon were called Nigers.
No, it's nigger.
I don't know, but that's how when it looked like that.
No, it's nigger. It's
Short I.
Huh?
Short I. It's
right.
It's just, I know it's just how it looks.
No, I want you to say that right, because people will use that and say, see, that nigger, not nigger.
Simeon that was called nigger.
They were called nigger. Now, in the Bible, it tells you that they was getting called nigger. That's a byword that stuck from that time even to this day.
Yeah.
So, where's the word that they would call the Hispanics? Where's it at?
I said these other people too, wasn't it? Yeah, I said Lucas of Southern and Manor were again brought up.
Oh, no, it's not there. Okay, so now, with that being said, we got curses there. We go through the curses, man. All right. So now, let me show you what these Puerto Ricans in that land look like. The ones that, let me show you how the Israelites look that's captured in these lands. Watch this. Go ahead and talk to people while I get this loaded.
A lot of heavy stuff that came out of there. Real heavy. Say y'all just sit down, think about it, go over it. Just see that a lot of this stuff is true, man. You might not like it. It don't matter what you don't like, the scriptures, you can't fight the scriptures. But what you want to do is realize that, remember, we've been lied to a long time. When the truth come out, it's going to sound strange. But that's why you got to renew your minds and introduce that truth in your life. Even when I used to work, I'm going to just call him O. He was so-called Puerto Rican. That man hated the ish out of the so-called blacks. But when he seen a Hispanic with a light skin, he got along with them greatly. With that bright skin, stringy hair, he got along with them greatly. But when it came to us, he showed all kind of nastiness. I'm trying to a little bit more. I back up. Yeah, like that.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right. So now, what you're looking at is a brother by the name of Roberto Clemente. Roberto Clemente. He is a Ephraimite stuck in the land of Puerto Rico.
Right.
What do you realize about him? If you saw him walking down the street, you would think he was what?
A Negro.
You would think he was black until you heard him speak.
Right.
When it says that we scattered in Puerto Rico, this is exactly what it's talking about. You got brothers over there that look just like, it's Negroes over there that just speak Spanish.
Right.
And they're stuck in those lands. And they grew up to believe that they are Puerto Ricans.
Right.
All right. It's another one I want to get. Oh, you missed the image. Don't you see this, brother? That's a real Ephraimite. He's a real Ephraimite. Him. Okay. Now, let me show you. Let's go, brother. He bleached himself up now, but I'm going to show you what he looked like before the bleach.
He was full of bull crap when he did that.
What's his name? Sammy.
That source.
He done bleached himself now, but before, this is what he looked like. Come on, man.
You try to just click him on the name at the bottom.
As y'all can see, they got all the phases of him, but this is him. Before the bleach, this is what he looked like right here.
All right. I don't know why he did that.
And if you saw him down the street, you got to hear him speak before you.
That's him after the.
Yeah.
He messed himself up, coach.
Right. That is Sammy Sosa. Let me show you another one. Look at this guy. David Ortiz.
Yeah.
Notice what kind of hair he got.
Woolly.
Look at him.
Oh man. Yeah.
You would think that was a brother.
Yeah.
Until you heard him speak.
Right. Yeah, black man, what you doing?
Let me get another one.
What you doing?
I'm gonna show y'all some more, man. Hey, when you get a chance, Google black slaves in America. I mean, in Puerto Rico, black slaves in Dominica. All that, like, it's a lot you could go to see.
Right.
Let me get another one. Watch this. This brother's supposed to be Simeon here. And I'm gonna show you the coonerism that's amongst our people. We went all out the way to find out that Bob Marley was Israel and not.
Right. Went in on him.
Went in. But when it comes to these guys, we just take them face value. Look at this.
They showed Pope Bob Marley.
You would think he was just a brother until he started speaking.
Right. That's big. Horrified.
Right. We go all day. Let's get Luis. Luis Valbuena. He just died
Oh man.
in a crash. There you go, right there. Watch this. these are brothers in those lands. You would think that they were just brothers until you heard them speak.
Right.
Okay, now let's just go for the gusto. When you see these women,
Yeah, coach.
what you gonna say? Look, you know what I'm saying? Now this is a version of a lighter skinned one. This is a version of a lighter skinned one. When you look at her, you would know that okay, she's not clearly just a white woman. You would ask her if you saw her on the streets, you mixed with something.
Right.
Same thing I'm saying. When you see these so-called Hispanics that we going out to save, you should be able to look at them and say, okay, are you mixed with something? Not saying that some ain't gonna slide on the crack and look off, but you're not gonna tell me damn 90-80% of them.
Yeah. When I was talking to the sister at my job, called the sister A, when I worked at SeaWorld, she was like, "How you don't know if some of them are Spaniards if they was getting raped?" I was like, "Oh."
And that's the thing. They said, they said that the women of Ephraim started mixing themselves. Well, then them wouldn't be Israelites.
Right.
Them wouldn't be heathens.
Right.
You can see your father.
Yeah, that's game over.
She got too much makeup on. I don't want to use her. Here's another one though. This sister, I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought the sister was beautiful. Look at her.
She's very beautiful, coach. Almost faint.
When you see her, you would say, okay, she mixed with something. Look at her.
Yeah.
All right, y'all get my drift. Y'all see where we going here?
Yeah.
Look at her. When you see her, though she is very light-skinned, you will say, are you mixed with something?
Right.
Okay, so my drift, the point that I want y'all to see is that, and I also, if you notice, I showed you some that were very dark, and I showed you some that are very light.
Right.
Showing you, even though the unturned cake thing don't even mean that, but we'll use that theory. That would be your version of a very, very light-skinned person.
Right.
The unturned, the unturned part.
Right.
The turned part. The dark-skinned ones that we showed you would be the version of the unturned part.
Right.
If you want to use that theory. All right. So now, with that being said, I'm gonna conclude this class as part 1.
Tough, coach.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hit the light.
I mean, it's trying to be like. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 6. Now, when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came a time a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, "To what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor." When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, "Why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also that this woman have done be told for a memorial of her."
Right. So we are commanded by the Most High in Christ to bring up what the sister did when she prepared Christ for his burial. Showing that you women, you also are important to this truth as well. You are important to this truth as well. We need you to play your role, stand strong, and that'll help us redeem our nation, take this wicked kingdom down until that time Christ comes. We ought to bring out what the sister did.
Right.
All right. So with this class, like I said, this is just part 1. I'm going to throw out everything.
I understand.
This is part one. And like I said, I don't have an issue with if you want to say some of the very, very, very light skinned people can slide in. I don't have an issue with you saying that the people are stuck in this land. But I do have an issue when you say that, oh, you could be Indian descendant and still get in, because that's just another way, a slick way of getting away saying you're a Spaniard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me that, because guess what? Everybody came from a Negro woman and a Negro man, making them what?
Negroes.
Right. They're all jet black people and all this other stuff. You're not going to tell me now, all of a sudden, through rapists and stuff, everybody started mixing, and that's why you got light skinned people. Well, we know where the light skinned stuff started at.
Right.
It started from where? A white man.
Right.
Okay. Like I said, this is only part one. I go into a little bit more, but we'll save it. So with that, I say shalom. I pray that this class was informational or eye-opening. And like I said, I'll go with y'all theory, but just answer them questions for me. With that, shalom.
Shalom. Yeah, my friend.